Enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Hey, yo.
My life, my money, my legacy.
Asuka's match is next. 2 WWE titles change hands, and Edge finally makes his WrestleMania decision. I am Jared Sleep with my co-host, the straight shoot in a suit, Adam Anthony James Martin. Welcome to the WWE 2021 Elimination Chamber review show. It was a great show. I just finished it, and a lot of interesting things definitely happened tonight. 2 titles change hands, like I said before. I guess we can first start off with we announced it in our show before that they had it was supposed to be a Lacey Evans versus Asuka match for the Raw Women's title. That was I guess inexplicably just nixed from the show. I guess creative had nothing for a pregnant woman to do on the show. What do you think about that?
Definitely shouldn't have announced it from the get-go. Mm-hmm. They should have just let it be. Unfortunately, they couldn't find another opponent for Asuka, which is sad to see because she's a great talent and she deserves to be on that card and she deserves to be at WrestleMania in a really good spot, in my opinion, for everything that she's done throughout NXT and her current, main roster tenure. So, that sucks, but what can you do, right? You just have to move on with the show. And, going back to what I was saying, shouldn't have just never been announced. It shouldn't have been listed. Where did you see it again? I saw it on Wiki. Really unreliable source, I would say, because they put up some pretty landerish things from time to time.
Well, I mean, it was on Twitter as well. And I think actually WWE announced it on their Twitter page. And people I saw were commenting like, hey, she's pregnant. What are you guys going to do? And so I guess maybe even Vince and them thought she was working them. And it's, I don't know what's going on with that. But, man, the Raw Women's Championship has been a complete afterthought, really, since since even Sasha lost it, I think at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
It's
been an interesting situation, unfortunately, again, like with someone like Asuka. We just saw like Kari Sane that just went back not too long ago, back home to her family and stuff like that. She didn't really have the greatest main roster run either, which is unfortunate after everything that she did in NXT as well.
Yeah.
After Asuka, she kind of picked up that ball and ran with it really, really well. But unfortunately, again, they just didn't really have too much for her. They couldn't really use her in any main storyline when it came to that women's championship. I don't recall, unless I'm forgetting something, but
she was a tag. I think she was a tag champion with Asuka for a little bit, but nothing really materialized outside of that.
Yeah, Paige was managing them, I think, for a little bit in that whole situation. So it was a weird one on its own. But
extremely weird.
What can you do? Like, unfortunately, again,
we have a bit of a glitch in our system. He is gone, but I'm sure he'll be back in a little bit. But we will talk about, there was a preliminary match. They had a fatal 4-way in the pre-show. It was John Morrison, Elias Mustafa Ali of Retribution, and Ricochet. And that was for the winner would replace Keith Lee. I guess there was some type of report that Keith Lee was unable to make. He was not able to make the show. I don't know if he was injured. I don't know if it's precautions with the pandemic or whatnot. But they had John Morris defeat Elias Mustafa Ali and Ricochet. So he earned a spot in the match for the United States Championship against Riddle and Bobby Lashley. So the first match on the card was the Elimination Chamber match for the Universal Championship match later on in the evening against Roman Reigns. and that was between Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro. And so you have, that was a pretty interesting match. I was actually surprised that it started off the card. I thought that was going to actually be the main event, just because Roman Reigns is at that level where he's a main event performer. So I figured that would end the show. It was a pretty competitive match, I would say. King Corbin was the first person to get knocked out of the match, which I pretty much expected. I think, Baron Corbin, he does his thing, but he's going to be, I guess, stuck in the that mid card, lower to mid card level. So he was the first one out. I really love this spot with Kevin Owens getting eliminated when Jey Uso caught his hand. He's back. Admit. Let me bring back Adam into the mix. Bear with us, folks. Technology is good until it fails. And he's back. Are you back? He's back.
I am back.
He makes a surprise appearance. Back on the show.
No, sorry about that. I had a disconnection with my internet for a second or minute or two. Felt like an eternity, but here I am again.
It's all good. I was just I just got into the Elimination Chamber match, the first one. It was Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro. The first match on the card.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, did you see the pre-show?
Oh yeah, I just spoke about that a little bit with John Morrison.
Yes.
It's a good match, but a throwaway match just because, with the situation with Keith Lee, I don't know if he's legit injured, or I don't know if it has something to do with the virus. Well, Mia Yim wasn't there as either, because I know Mace, T-Bar, and Slapjack were in the corner of Ali.
Yes.
But Mia Yim was not there.
So very interesting situation.
Yeah, so it's probably has something to do with COVID. They had to stay off the card.
Definitely. No, for sure. Key points that I had from that match, Elias. He works like a big guy. Like, he was the biggest guy in that match, and he worked like one. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does actually in the ring. He's nothing special in terms of, flips and moonsaults and high flying action. But I think he works really well as what he's doing. And I think he's come a long way.
The character was over for a while.
What's that? Sorry?
The character was over for a while. Like, he was definitely good as both heel and face.
When he was playing the guitar, that was pretty entertaining. I have a song for every city that he'd go to. But just seeing him, I haven't seen him in a while, right? I haven't watched really the main roster until maybe a couple of weeks ago, right? So just seeing him again and just seeing where he's at now, from my perspective, he's definitely grown into whatever he's doing. And his in-ring work, though, like the pace that he was working at, the moveset that he had, it just seems like he's come full circle almost. Really found himself. Feels a lot more comfortable in the ring rather than being this guitar playing, sing along with me kind of baby face. Right. Now he's that more rugged, like he should have been from the get-go, and continued on to be, in my opinion.
So what's interesting is, like, if these guys are presented us as like lower mid card, obviously they're on the pre-show, but if you look at the talent, this is, they have some really talented people here. John Morrison, Elias, Mustafa Ali, and then the Retribution, like guys like Donovan Dijakovic was amazing in NXT to me, and then Ricochet, who just not used at all. Like, this guy really should not be on a pre-show, in my opinion. He's such a unique talent. He can do flips, he can do everything. He sells great.
Yes,
they don't use him at all.
No, it's unfortunate. Again, he's one of those guys that get underutilized, like an Oscar or something like that. But the match overall was really fun. There was that huge spot where I believe it was Ali. There was the double reverse DDT with the neck breaker, which was pretty cool. That made me pop a little bit, because I was like, oh, that's a little creative. It's a little different, Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I think the Retribution involvement, you called that on the preview. You question whether they were going to be a factor or not within the match, and to a certain degree, they definitely were. We've seen them interfere in a lot of pinfalls to save the match for Ali. They basically destroyed. It was Ricochet and who was it? Morrison, I believe, on the outside of the ring before the finish. Or not Morrison, sorry. Who was it?
Was that Ali? Sorry, it was not Ali. We have Morrison, Elias, Ali, and Ricochet. So it must have been on Elias.
Elias, yeah, it had to have been Elias mathematically.
Yeah, process of elimination.
Process of elimination, for sure. But yeah, that double spot and then the sneak win by Morrison was pretty cool because I didn't really think Morrison was going to be the guy to win. But looking back on it, I was like, okay, Keith Lee's out. Now they need a guy to take the fall between the US title match.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the way I kind of looked at it. It was like, ooh, he's in a really tough spot, but he did put on a really good performance, and he gets to compete twice on the same card.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Cool
I personally would have picked Ricochet, but I'm biased to Ricochet. I think he's one of the more underrated people on the roster. But moving on to that first Elimination Chamber match, Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro. Tough competitors, pretty decent match. King Corbin goes out first. I just kind of expected it either to be Sami Zayn or King Corbin out first. Was surprised that he actually was tapped out by Cesaro's sharpshooter. You don't really see the sharpshooter used anymore as like a finish.
Yeah, did you hear Corey? I believe his quote was something about this being disheartening. That he got eliminated by the sharpshooter. Boom, the little heart reference and the heart.
I get what he's doing there.
I don't know if he purposely did it, but he used those words, and that's the first thing that I wrote down was like, well, hey, and he just kind of made a play on play there, which was really cool, I thought. And again,
he's witty. He's very witty.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, for sure. I like Corey on the booth for sure. And again, yeah, the sharpshooter finish, it made me pop again. It was just like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, and I haven't seen it that execute. Like it was really well executed. Like the technique and everything. Like it looked like a Bret Hart or an Owen Hart sharpshooter.
Yeah, for sure.
Really cool. Cesaro was really good at what he does, and he just made a really, really, really cool situation right there.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. And one of the spots I liked out of that match was basically how they eliminated Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens looked good really the entire match. And he looked good in defeat. Yes, yeah. He like that moniker, Fight Owens Fight, it just kind of really sticks with him because even if he loses, it still like he'll just never quit. Like he's always like just getting his ass whooped, but he always comes back for more. But the spot where his arm gets caught in the cage door, and then he just getting super kicked by Jey Uso, and it was just like, okay, he just gets knocked out. That was a really cool spot.
You just seen him drop down, like he was you just knew you're like, ooh, this is not going to end well, which it did not, because he ended up hitting the splash afterwards. And I don't know if you noticed it, but it kept on being called the frog splash.
Oh, okay. They could have said it
was a frog splash.
Yeah.
It was just a plain splash.
It's just a plain splash. Yeah, it's not like an Eddie Guerrero frog splash at all.
No, not at all. Not even close. Or like even a Rob Van Dam, or you think of frog splash, you think of the 5-star, you think of Eddie. And that was
those guys got height.
That was a snooker splash that he did, like he does it, right? So, but still, he does it well.
Speaking of frog splashes, I noticed that wasn't the original cage. It was like a lot bigger than the original Elimination Chamber cage. Like there's more height. There's way more height that they can really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like wider. I was like, ooh, it looked like it was more
I like the top was bigger to me.
Yeah. Way taller. I noticed that too. I'm like, why do they have all this excess? Like, I know it's the WWE and they're going to put on the best production possible within their budget.
Right.
Especially
unlimited budget.
Yeah. Especially leading up to WrestleMania. But that seems like a little over the top.
Yeah. No pun intended.
It's just like.
So the last two people in the match were there was Daniel Bryan and what was it? It's Jey Uso.
Yes.
Jey Uso. And what's interesting is they didn't really play into And I thought my guy was Jey Uso. I thought he was gonna win because I just thought they were gonna use that dynamic of them being cousins, but they didn't really play into like the whole dynamic, like what Jey Uso is going to do. Like, why would he want to win the Elimination Chamber match? Why would he want to go through something so brutal? Just to kind of for no reason. That was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But again, with the finish though, the finish was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty slick. I believe it was KO with the arm. I liked when going back to KO and Sami, their little interaction with Sami trying to convince him, like I mentioned, I'm like, oh, what if they team up and try to, help each other out on the preview show? And Sami, sure enough, being Sami, the devilish heel just comes out and goes, hey, work together, trying to work that conspiracy into Kevin Owens' head, and just didn't work, obviously, but it was a really good spot.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see. And then another thing was when Owens did the moonsault. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he hits those nice for his size. Like he can really go.
Yeah, he's a big boy for that, and that looked really cool, I thought, too. Mm-hmm. It's not like your typical spot where everyone holds everybody up like we were talking about before, and just like it was pretty quick. He got up there pretty quick. He jumped pretty quick. He didn't wait for everybody to, kind of hold their own and like help each other up, and he just made it look a little more genuine than it normally does, which was really cool too. And that's just something Owens always does. He makes it look more genuine. And I don't know if you heard him all throughout the match, his banter.
Yeah, I did notice that. You mentioned it before, and I kind of paid attention to it, that he's like that. He does like the Roman Reigns talk thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Say that he does the Kevin Owens thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think it was what was the finish?
It was Bryan with the knee. He knocks out Jey Uso, wins it. Daniel Bryan is wiped after the match. Has a tough time getting to his feet. Roman Reigns comes out, and Daniel Bryan tries to get him into the yes lock, but Roman Reigns overpowers him, puts him into that guillotine submission he's been using, and Daniel Bryan just basically wasted. He doesn't even tap out; he just passes out. Yeah,
it was pretty quick too.
Yeah,
like before that, he was just pounding on him, and like going back to the finish. It was the splash off the top of the pod from Jey Uso. Bryan got the knees up, and then it was bada bing, bada boom from there. But the thing that surprised me was the way that Cesaro got eliminated.
Oh yeah,
like just that quick. It was like, oh my gosh, I think what did he do? He hit the big swing, and then he was doing the big swing into the chain link fence.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's done. He's out. And that was a little surprising to me. I wish he would have lasted a little bit longer, but I still think even though the length that he was in there for what he did when he was in there was very effective to help him get up to that next level again, where he once was and should be consistently on their programming. But we were talking about good showings and stuff like that, and guys that we wanted to see go out early, like guys like Sami. I predicted or suggested that maybe he should go out early, which he did, and stuff like that. And then we were talking about guys like Uso or Bryan maybe winning the whole thing. Even Owens being that possibility, but then that whole thing with the door just kind of threw everyone maybe for a surprise.
Yeah, I love that. I love that spot right there. That was just really different. Like, who thinks of this stuff?
Exactly.
Who thinks of this stuff?
There was a couple things that were different in both Elimination Chamber matches, which we'll definitely talk about the second one a little bit later on. But going back to like what you were saying though, and the finish and stuff like that, it was pretty strong with Roman coming down. And I was kind of thinking in my mind is like, well, they said that the winner was going to get a championship match, but they didn't say when that night. They said later on, right? They kept on preluding to later on. And then boom, you hear Roman's music, and it's like, oh, of course he's going to come out.
Yeah, it was kind of like his match was like a Money in the Bank cash-in, pretty much, instead of a championship match.
Exactly. It wasn't a defense. It was, like I said, just a cash-in or a reassurance to make sure that he goes to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at that because it ties into his heel character. Like, he's gonna face a beat down guy. First of all, he's gonna avoid the Elimination Chamber altogether, and then he's gonna just prey on a beaten down, broken Daniel Bryan. And Apparently, the match time on that was 1:32. Which, spoiler alert, that wasn't even the shortest championship match of the night. We'll get to that later on. We'll get to that later on.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but did you like the finish?
I mean, I expected
Like
it. I expected
the chamber itself.
Oh, the chamber itself. So again, and my thing with the chamber is like I think they put it ill time on the calendar. Because it's okay, where do you go with Daniel Bryan from here? Where do you go with Cesaro from here? Like, what happens? It just kind of, I feel like, they have good showings, but I feel like the stories are still at a basic stalemate. All it really is telling is the story of like how Roman Reigns is going to get to the main event of WrestleMania, and everyone's kind of collateral damage. It does really, to me, nothing for any of the characters. It's there's probably better ways to tell these type of stories than just kind of like making everyone a casualty of the Roman Reigns storyline.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would be more beneficial to have a guy like Ricochet in that chamber match and go the distance that Daniel Bryan did.
Right, exactly. You throw Ricochet in there, maybe he's the last guy and he gets beat, or so then you have someone you elevate it. We already like Daniel Bryan. He's already established. What does it really do for anyone involved? And you have guys who are coming up, but they're back to where they were before the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you feel about Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan? Like we talked about, he knocked him out cold. And then the surprise of the night, Edge comes out of nowhere, spears Roman Reigns, points to the WrestleMania sign. And now we have our WrestleMania match between Edge and Roman Reigns.
And I believe you called that on the preview show,
sure
if I
did.
Remember correctly. And of course, like we joked around, he's going to point to the sign, which he did. And the fireworks go off, like you said. And it was bada bing, bada boom. We got our match. I liked it. It kind of took my mind off of what was going on with Edge and Roman Reigns during that whole beatdown. And even for that split minute, that distraction, of feeling sorry for Daniel Bryan, like that sympathy towards Daniel Bryan took my mind off of Edge being involved in the whole situation. And then when Edge just came from underneath the rope and speared him and then did his little thing like everybody does right before WrestleMania, I think this time around, it meant a lot more than I felt like it did something like last year or the year before, especially with Edge with his neck injury coming back from recovery and then making his return at the Rumble and then, telling his story all the way through. And then, now he's going to face the big talk, the head of the table, and doing what he did, getting revenge, sets him up for a good position going into, the next month prior to WrestleMania, which is only 4 weeks away, I believe, the beginning of April. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, there's no like Fastlane or anything. Is there like a Fastlane pay-per-view in between or we
there might be.
Okay, we have a Fastlane, but that's just going to be, it's going to be like, where they're just going to move from east to west. Nothing's probably going to happen on that card, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It might as well be a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown.
A glorified Raw or SmackDown.
Right.
Because it used to be brand split, right? One would do Fastlane, and then they'd both do the Rumble, and then one would have Fastlane, and then one would have the Chamber, and then they both do WrestleMania. So I don't really know how the Fastlane works this year, if they're double branded. I'm assuming it would be, just like any other event now, but we'll see what happens.
Right, but I mean, that Edge Roman Reigns match is gonna be, obviously pretty much set.
No, for sure.
Definitely sorry, Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre. And I'll leave an asterisk on Drew McIntyre's name. And we'll get to that in a second.
But going back to Fastlane, and we'll get to Drew McIntyre and Fastlane because I want to make a reference to that, so I don't want to forget that. But what did you think of the next match?
Next match on the card was Riddle, Bobby Lashley with MVP, and John Morrison triple threat match for the WWE United States Championship. And like we spoke about off air, what really stood out in my mind with this match is just how freaking athletic and strong these guys are. Like
Yes.
Lashley comes out as a freaking just monster, and he's just flipping people around. He's throwing them like as if they're like, like just rag dolls. These grown men, he just throwing around. And then you see the exchanges between John Morrison and Riddle. And man, Riddle's so freaking athletic. He's just doing flips like it's nothing. He's doing suplexes. And Morrison, obviously, he's one of the more athletic guys, kind of almost ever in the sport. Actually, I was really mostly impressed with Riddle's ability. I think he came, obviously, he won the match. I thought he looked really good tonight in this showing.
Very strong, and that's what I was kind of hoping for. I can't remember if I picked him or Lee, but Lee was kind of out of the equation, obviously, and
Right.
Morrison stepped in. So obviously, I think in my mind, looking back on the predictions and stuff like that, I think
I think you took Riddle. I think you took Riddle for the win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about Lashley being elevated up and losing
Yeah.
the U.S. title and dropping it off to someone like Riddle or Lee. So it could have been either one, but I'll take it if you're giving it to me.
Yeah.
But the Riddle situation, I think he did really well throughout the whole match too. Like he had a lot of man in the spotlight in the center of the ring for majority of the match. I think he wasn't really leading the match, but he was following suit. Like everything that he was doing with Morrison was just seemed to be in sync. They have a really good in-ring chemistry with each other.
They really do.
And I was just like, holy, are these guys like a tag team now? Because when they started to realize, hey, we need to team up and work against Lashley, they failed at the first few attempts, and they finally clicked. And you just see the teamwork. And then when they started actually wrestling with each other, it's like, okay, this is a match now we have to see for that U.S. championship.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even mind, even at a Fastlane, like a Riddle versus Morrison for the United States title, one-on-one, because their chemistry was they looked really good together.
No, definitely. No, for sure. I'm just kind of looking over here, and
one thing I think the only thing I did not like about the match is
we're always positive. Let's throw some constructive criticism out there.
Yeah, one criticism I had was I didn't really like the spot where Morrison grabs the crutch from MVP and he goes in the ring and he's trying to hit people. I feel like that's just lazy booking. Because all these guys can wrestle, all these guys can move and everything. So we don't really need the weapons. We don't really need the shenanigans. If you want to finish the match, maybe it could have been a Starship Pain onto somebody or someone steals the victory, but you don't have to just really outright just hit somebody with a freaking weapon to win the match. Yeah, it's just, come on.
It's almost as bad as a cattle prod.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. In WCW.
Whoops.
And the other thing, did you notice that Lashley kicked out of the Starship Pain on a 1 count? Was that on purpose? I was Morrison, would he be happy with that? Because guys like to protect their finishes.
I know, but the way that Lashley, and I wrote this down, Lashley was working like a big man should work.
Yeah.
He does it so well. And I remember his first run in WWE, and it wasn't that impressive for how, his athleticism, his size, what he was really capable of, what we're now seeing, or what we saw in the tenure in TNA even. He really improved in that development territory or, territory down, whatever it is now. Now it's in Ottawa, but before it wasn't.
Yeah.
When it was NWA TNA still, right? Or TNA or Impact, when it just changed over in between his tenure there, at least. He really improved. And then we've seen him come back and say, okay, now he's really, really improved because he's working with so much, in my opinion, a higher level of talent that is now elevated him to where, he held the U.S. title for a long time. He got to a point, they just said, here you go, run with it. And he did. And then, again, we're not going to dive into it right now, but later on, his actions, again, kind of seen that coming, I think, with him dropping the belt to a guy like Riddle, who's now going to be the future of holding that title or that title of the championship reign. So, and seeing what he does with it. But, there is another pay-per-view. Like you said, there is Fastlane, which I kind of slipped my mind because I'm more focused on the WrestleMania.
And we all are.
Or-
I mean, who does anyone really like Fastlane? Like,
I got a fever, and the only prescription is WrestleMania.
yeah. Bobby Lashley obviously looked great, and I think what really helped him out was just giving him that mouthpiece that is MVP. Because if you did have a criticism of Bobby Lashley, it'd be his mic work isn't that great.
No.
So just adding MVP and then the Hurt Business as a unit, collective unit, it's they're better together as they are like as individual characters. So I think that really absolutely helped his character, and it made us completely forget that he was married to Lana last year and doing this comedy BS that you see on WWE.
Oh, definitely. I think everyone's past that now. And again, if he's doing what he did later on in the evening, you know that they have a lot of faith in him and his abilities and stuff like that, and where he could take the new direction for the rest of the year, or even at least the really key part of the year, which is summertime.
Yeah,
in my opinion, from spring to fall, basically. That's kind of where you gauge your hot time, right? Literally and figuratively.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the weather, and SummerSlam's a huge deal, right? So they build up to that as well.
Yeah, if they continue to build in the right way, he can be he's already been in the main event card, so he can elevate to that main event card once again. And hey, hopefully this builds to like a Lesnar versus Lashley. That's something that people are waiting to see. Two legit guys who've been MMA fighters. They'll both look great. They're both like just monsters. So maybe we get that toward SummerSlam.
I think people are more looking forward to maybe a possibility, which will never probably happen, but Riddle and Lesnar.
Oh, but they have like real heat, I believe.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's what'll never happen.
But hey, never say never. We did get Rollins and Riddle in the Royal Rumble for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true too.
And they supposedly really don't like each other.
Yeah, I heard there was seen some ruffle about hostility between the two. Comments made by Riddle probably.
Yeah.
Could have been the issue. Seth not liking it or taking too kindly to it probably could have been the issue. But either way, though, a strong win for Riddle in that match. Morrison looked good, in his time with the ring, and Lashley obviously looked amazing. And again, obviously with the gimmick finish, with the crutch. Again, personally, I agree with you. I think they could have came up with something a little bit more.
Like you guys wrestled for a good 10 minutes and then you're just gonna come out with a weapon, like screw it. Like you could have did that in the first 30 seconds of the match.
Exactly. But they're so focused. It's a triple threat. Triple threats are hard, they're tough. They had to take out Lashley together. So, he finally realizes, looks over at a helpless MVP, can't defend himself. He's got a crutch. Maybe a 12-year-old could buy into it.
Right. Or they could have bought a gun or a knife like the Undertaker suggested.
Yeah, I thought they had metal detectors there.
Yeah, right.
How'd they get that crutch in? But yeah, good win for Riddle no matter what. And the fact that he did pin Morrison keeps Lashley strong for future events this evening.
Yes.
So I like
spoilers, no spoilers.
And like I predicted again, like you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, they kind of needed a guy to fall. And with Lee gone, you can't have Lashley lose. But even if Lee was in, that'd be a really tough position, for WWE to be in, because who loses if you're going to push Lashley to, if you're going up and him dropping the title, does Lee take the fall? Does Riddle take the fall? Like, you put two up and coming guys in a really tough spot there. So I like the finish with Morrison, despite, and I hope all's well with Lee and, the situation, but I like the switch, no matter, how it came about. Unfortunately, it could be a negative thing, but, again, it was a good way to finish the match.
So what I'm concerned about is, what I fear is, will Keith Lee be punished for this? Because I know we had some releases recently. One of the guys from the Forgotten Sons, he contracted the virus recently, and he was basically released for that. So with
Which
Keith,
member?
I forgot the guy's name, but he just recently got released maybe like a week or two ago. He was in that faction with Baron Corbin, and they released him basically for contracting the virus. So Keith Lee, and Vince is already the reports, the dirt sheets are saying Vince is already, not really, he doesn't really see him as a star. He doesn't really like the way he works and things like that. So now he had to get pulled from a pay-per-view. And whether, how the business is, whether it's good and bad, like when you're injured or things happen, you kind of sometimes get pushed down the card. So where does Keith Lee go from here? What do you think happens?
Like, I think with Riddle being the champion, it makes it really interesting because he can go either way. Does he remain a babyface? Does he remain this cool, calm, collective, kind of laid back California kid, type of person, like, himself elevated by 10? Or does he take the other route and open up a door for more baby faces to come up, guys like Keith Lee to challenge him for that US championship, and they can build up together to another level? So it's a really interesting situation. I can't really say for sure, obviously. You never know what's going to happen and what they're going to do with anybody at any given time. But even a confident opinion couldn't even be validated at this point in my mind, but just because it is a really tough situation for them to be in. Again, with how do you waste opportunity with a guy that is over, that you've already built up to a certain level and you wanted to push him into a certain direction? Or do you punish him for something he couldn't control? Or, maybe he could have, who knows the situation yet, but does he go down and then you lose your investment and then you focus on somebody else, which they've also done in the past? So the way that I would
they always do start and stop pushes like all the time, you see.
Yeah, exactly. So the way I would do it, though, I would maintain him on course.
Yeah.
Maybe have him interact with someone that is also challenging for the US championship, not create another triple threat scenario for the next event or, the big time SummerSlam summer event. But have him interact some way, shape or form, have him maybe job to that guy. And when I say job, I mean, lose strong. So he maintains his position, kind of. He drops maybe one notch, but not all the way out of reach within that US championship to build himself back up to a, potential main eventer again. Like you said, when he first came in, he was fighting guys or matching up with guys like Orton.
McIntyre.
McIntyre, that's an honor, for someone so fresh to the main roster and in his position, because they obviously had some sort of faith in him, right? So what do you think? I've been talking. What do you think about the whole situation? What do you see Keith Lee going from here as well? Do you think he goes up, down? Do you think he remains in the same position? And if he remains in the same position, goes up or down, who's he locking up with next in the ring? Who's he going to have that next storyline with?
Well, I think I was listening to a Jericho podcast recently. I think he said it best. He said, Vince has toys and he gets tired of them easily. And I think Keith Lee is one of those toys he just has gotten tired of. I followed Keith Lee since he was in NXT. He's put on great matches. He was a double champ with the NXT championship and the North American championship. He got to the main roster. Vince tried to put him in this ridiculous, like tennis looking Serena Williams suit. And, they didn't really do anything to give him momentum. Like I said before, there's been reports that Vince is no longer high on him. And I just don't think they see the vision for what his character is. I personally like the way he was presented. Like he's just a cool sounding, athletic baby face. And
he's a cool cat.
He's a cool guy. But I think because he's been so damaged as a character over the past few months, I think you have to actually just like repackage him and just turn him heel maybe. And maybe just he cuts a promo like, I came in here with momentum and all the office did was crap on me and whatever. And no one cares about me and all this. And maybe he just goes on a rampage and, he starts off in the mid card. Maybe you feed a Ricochet, unfortunately to him, you feed who else is on retribution to him, and then he starts moving to the Riddles, and eventually maybe by SummerSlam-ish he's kind of in the higher end of the card. But I just think that Vince has lost faith in him, and I see him kind of being killed so to speak, for a little bit, and maybe we get a repackaged Keith Lee later on. But I just don't see. I'm not going to be optimistic about this situation, unfortunately. And I like Keith Lee, but I just know how Vince McMahon is. Yeah, I know how Vince McMahon is. So it is
for sure. I could definitely see that side of things too, for sure. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Next up on the card, the convoluted match of the week is the tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. We have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Wow. What a cluster. I don't know if we can curse on YouTube without being demonetized. So what a cluster freak of a match. What are your thoughts on this match?
First of all, I was wondering why Nia Jax was taking bumps for women half her size, like the way she was taking bumps, like she was half their size, if you know what I mean. Like she's taking bumps for women that way, are half her size, but she's pretending or acting like she's half that size.
Yeah, and Sasha's really small compared to Nia Jax.
Exactly. So I just didn't understand that whole aspect of it all. I wish they would keep Nia strong in that sense. Almost not necessarily like a Animal and Hawk no sell type of situation, like a Road Warriors no sell.
Like a Big Show, Big Show.
He can take a bump when he needs to take a bump, but it doesn't need to happen like everybody else in that ring. That's something that should make her special, I think, and they don't utilize that enough. The fact that she's in a tag team,
not a fan, but I guess I know they have something. They have to do something,
Exactly, and that's the lack of the booking, right? Too, and the creative as well. I think has run out to a certain degree when it comes to the women's division. At first, it was doing pretty good. We had a lot of great matches. We were starting to see a lot of first matches for women and stuff like that. We continue to see that this year or last year, sorry. And, you stick someone like Nia Jax, someone is, sure, she has her flaws. Everyone has their flaws and stuff like that, but she's a gifted talent. And
she gets heat. She gets heat.
Yeah. And she could be utilized better is what I'm trying to say, at least. And, but I like the team in the aspect that it is Shayna Baszler and not like someone like Tamina.
Yeah. Like I could, or Natalia or something like that.
Yeah, because Shayna Baszler is badass.
I love her.
I just swore on YouTube, but my apologies. Put on français. It's a really good tag team, and they were working like a tag team. And the cool thing that I noticed, and this is where I'm going with this, the organic ability, or like the organicness of Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair forming together, out of nowhere. And you could see that early in the match that their chemistry wasn't nearly on point.
Yeah.
Like they looked a little sloppy as a tag team, a little disoriented.
Like even the tags were a little bit off.
Yeah, exactly. Every little mechanic, that you would see, like the Brain Busters or the Heart Foundation, or even their opposition on the evening, Nia Jax and Baszler, who have been teaming together and have that chemistry. They look like a legit women's tag team. You throw Belair and Sasha together. I know it's just for future booking,
right?
But we said that that shouldn't have happened to begin with. It's an irrelevant match, in a sense, especially with the finish and the lead up to the finish and the involvement in the match. Other than the organic, I liked that part because that seemed like real, right? Like it seemed like they weren't just clicking. And then future, like later in the match, they were starting to get a little bit more. You see a little bit more tag team tandem offense. They were working a little more. They were gelling together a little bit better, and they almost had a win, and which would have been a travesty in my opinion, especially for the women's championship titles, which we were talking about before, that they needed to keep strong somehow. And kind of even with the ending, I'll let you start with the lead up to the ending and then the ending itself. But even with the ending, they kind of really, botched it to a certain degree without keeping the championship or elevating those championship belts to a new level by beating or, overcoming the number one contender and the women's champion.
Yeah, again, like I guess it starts off with because first of all, like you said, I don't like the program at all. Like I think it's just there's no reason to have people who can potentially be in a championship match against each other to be in that way to be going toward the tag team championships. The tag team champions could be something that used to get girls more time on TV. Use it as kind of like the John Cena, open challenge. And if you want to have people that just go from brand to brand to brand, NXT to Raw to SmackDown, and you throw in the Dakota Kais and the Amber Moons and the Shotzi Blackhearts and have them kind of get more shine and Iconics or mix, just do something like that. But first and foremost, like even like from the entrance of Sasha Banks coming out with Bianca Belair, someone who's obviously going to be her opponent, and they're going out as if they're a tag team and they're high-fiving each other and they're buddy, and it's like, why would anyone do that? That just doesn't make any sense. That's just like the Yankees and the Red Sox being friends. Like it's like you guys are rivals, are going to be rivals. So
here, you take my starting staff and I'll take your relievers.
Right. It just didn't make any sense.
We'll have a game.
It was just stupid. I won't take anything away from the athleticism. Bianca Belair is a freaking athlete doing flips, and the spot where she almost like picked up Nia Jax. Like Nia Jax is a giant woman, and she almost picked her up off her back. Yeah.
I thought she was going to pick her up.
Yeah, I thought she was. That spot you gotta say for like WrestleMania for sure. You gotta say that with a crowd. You gotta say that for WrestleMania with a crowd.
You can look back on this too and go, oh my gosh, she almost had her there, but
yeah,
you got her at WrestleMania.
Right.
That's a lot more valuable than doing it tonight.
I would definitely agree with that. But then the finish. So first of all, the sommelier Reginald. Okay, isn't he Carmella's lackey? Why does he keep on getting involved with Sasha Banks's matches? Where did this come from? Why are they involved with each other? This does not make any type of sense. So then Sasha Banks, who's supposed to be this 10-year veteran, who is a pioneer of the women's revolution, she gets distracted by a wine bottle in the match, and it cost her the match. Like what is going on? And then Reginald's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like this, it didn't make any sense. It just, there's so much more we can do with the tag team titles, and there's so much we can do with the feud that's going to be Sasha versus Bianca. I just don't see, there's no reason for them to be friends. They can respect each other, but I feel like they should have that rivalry.
Definitely agree with you on that part. And yeah, going back to the what was it? The Reginald and Carmella whole situation. Did you notice Corey Graves?
I missed it.
What the heck is he doing with Sasha? He should be with Carmella, and then Corey and Carmella, I believe, are together in real life. So just his little jab, through commentary and stuff like that. If you noticed it, it was just like, oh, what's he doing with her? He should be backing her up. That's Carmella. And blah, blah, blah.
I always thought what's interesting about that dynamic is, because like you said, Corey Graves and Carmella are together in real life. So when Dean Ambrose, John Moxley was on Raw and Renee was doing commentary, that was a constant like, hey, this is your husband. Hey, this is your husband. They never put Corey Graves in that situation where it's like an awkward, like, hey, that's your girlfriend. That's your girlfriend. They just don't even acknowledge it at all. So I always thought that was weird, especially since they gave Renee Young so much crap on commentary about her being with Dean Ambrose. And even like I remember Bobby Lashley said something like, I'm going to take care of your wife when you're gone. Like, and they cut to her and she's like, what the heck? Yeah. But I'm not a fan of the storyline. I think Sasha being the talent she is, Shayna Baszler being the talent that she is, Bianca, you can do so much more with these people.
Oh, definitely. So Reginald must have brought out the cheap wine instead of the good stuff to distract Sasha Banks in order for her to get beat by Nia Jax, for Baszler and Jax to retain the titles. Is that what I saw?
That's exactly what happened.
The cheap bottle.
the champion was distracted by a cheap bottle of wine.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. My eyes weren't playing tricks.
Right.
But I write that down. That's what I just going through my notes again, it broke down at the end of the match. Everyone was doing, I don't even think there was a hot tag.
No, that's one thing I did notice. And at the time I was at I was at an event, so I was watching it without the sound, and I was just kind of looking at it as a wrestling match. And I was waiting for the hot tag, and it just never happened. It was kind of like Sasha and Bianca kept on really just switching off, and so was Nia Jax. What's that?
Backslapping, like
yeah,
during different
there
moves.
there was never like, they never got heat on one another where you can get the hot tag. It just never happened. It just kept on going back and forth. It was weird. It wasn't really a traditional like tag team match.
No, it's something that I like to do. I like to watch the Brainbusters and the Heart Foundation, go at it, and then you see a real technical, a legitimate tag team match. But this was good though in that sense. It was different. It wasn't what I expected because like you said, you always expect that hot tag. Babyface makes the comeback. The heel comes running in, gets caught halfway through or cut off, and next thing we're seeing double team moves. All 4 people are in. We didn't get really that build up to that. You know what I mean? It just kind of happened, and then Reggie came out and again, like I said, brought the cheap stuff and cost the champion her tag team glory moment. Which is brilliant.
How do you feel about Nia and Shane as a tag team?
I like them.
You like them?
Like I said, I like that combo now because again, they've been working together for quite some time. They can, Shayna does a lot of the work. This kind of reminds me of like Owen and Yoko.
Yeah.
Shayna comes in, does a lot of the work, really weakens down and beats down and tires out, more of an endurance grind, formula to her ring style and presence. Where Nia, after all that's said and done, if you're too tired and you can't get away from Nia, she's going to squash you like a bug. And that's kind of what we saw tonight, like in the sense of the way that they work together. And there were quick tags too, which I like. Keep the other one fresh, especially for Nia too. Presentably, she's going to tire out. I don't know how good her cardio is. And again, no offense, I don't know. I'm ignorant if I say something, that I'm not educated on. But visually, you would think that Shayna would have the better cardio. So
she's been doing it for a lot longer as well.
Exactly. Her MMA background, she had to be in prime shape. So, just with those credentials alone, you automatically assume that she has better cardio. So I like that they work together, going back to your original question, because it does remind me of Owen and Yoko. And Owen and Yoko were such a great tag team together, and their formula was very similar, and it worked to a perfection to the point where they were really, really credible tag team champions. And at first I was thinking, okay, this is a unique pairing. And we've seen the women get bounced around to different team, from different team to different team. They try different stuff with this new division, and they're trying to build it up, which I think they're now really starting to do. And I think the foundation right now are those tag team championships, and, not necessarily the belts, but the ones holding it, because they are building that brand for us, the fans, to enjoy a really good, successful women's tag team division.
Yeah.
And, it didn't happen the same way with the women's belt, the singles women's championship. They just had this whole cream of the crop. Going back to the reference, this talent pool just, coming out, and it's just like, bam, okay, now we have a legitimate women's division that we can take serious. I think, going back to your question, Nia and Shayna are the foundation of that.
I hate Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as a tag team.
You're just sitting there patiently waiting me for to finish.
I just love Shayna Baszler. She's legit badass. She has a crazy look. Like, she looks scary. She's like, she's a submission magician. Make her scary. Like, if you're gonna just do nothing with Asuka, just make Shayna Baszler the flagship, the champion of Raw. Make her the person that is just coming on every week and kicking ass and taking names, and maybe someone on NXT eventually beats her. I would go with a Bianca and Shayna Baszler WrestleMania, match, something like that. But it is what it is. And Nia Jax, I know she gets a lot of heat online for her. She hit Becky Lynch in the face a couple years back, which was to her benefit, and she's hurt a couple people in the ring. But it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think her character, again, I think she needs to work like a I think she needs to work a little different. I think she's too much of a comedian when she tries to work the mic a little bit too much. I think she needs to develop that if that's the route that she wants to go, or utilize that as one of her tools to get her character over.
Yeah.
And of course you want to communicate with the fans, especially with no fans in the audience. You have to now use a microphone so everyone online or watching on the network or whatever it may be, you can relay your messages to them, right? So, and get that message out there. And I think she needs a little work on that. But other than that, if she just worked a little bit stronger, I think it'd be more to her benefit. If she worked more vicious, like Shayna, I should say. She was more like Shayna, not as comedian, more serious. That's what I kind of like to see her go in that direction. And I wish
that's what Vince wants. They want the comedy. Raw is just like it's a variety show at this point. There's ghosts and goblins on the show now, so that's what they want. And my whole went viral, so that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, Bianca bringing that up throughout the match.
Yeah,
and her turning around going, "Did you just say that?" It's like, oh, why? We're past this.
LOL, ha ha ha, LMFAO. But moving on, the last match on the card, or I should say second to last match on the card. Wink, wink. Spoiler alert. We have Drew McIntyre, the champion, going into the Elimination Chamber for the WWE Championship against AJ Styles with almost Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston. Everyone in this match has been WWE champion. Your thoughts on this match?
I think it was really well. I think it was better than the SmackDown Chamber match.
I would say so too. Yeah.
I think this match played out a lot better. It had element of surprise, which was really, really cool again with Orton. Being the first elimination and so quick, and the way that he got beat.
And he can do that too, because he's Randy Orton, so he can take a loss and it doesn't even affect him at all. Yeah,
not at all. He probably got bored in there, and
he'd pick his kids up or something.
Everyone quack from their pod. He's like, just pin me, get me out of here. I'll make you look good, kid. Drew looked really good.
Yeah,
really strong, like I wanted him to. You have to keep the belt on him. Yeah, I have to. But he looked really good. Sheamus looked really good. Hardy looked really good.
I'm surprised that Jeff Hardy's still wrestling the way he's 40 something years old now, and he's still doing the whispers in the winds off the off the pod. You're still doing the swanton bombs. He's been doing this for literally 25 years now.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot of stuff off the pod in this match.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston did the trust fall thing.
What do they do? I was just watching a video and it's called death diving. And they do this in Norwegian countries during the summertime, and they have a monstrous a
drop.
There's a pool and then the massive diving board, Olympic style diving board, and you run, and then you just basically do what Kofi Kingston did, but all the way down into the water. So he basically did a death dive onto those guys from off the pod. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they get points for it. It's really interesting. You should check that out. It's really entertaining. But
I'll check it out. I won't be doing that, but
no, don't do it. Don't try, because it's really high up there and it looks like it hurts, because the goal is to land on your belly. But getting back to the main subject here, that spot was really cool, because the hands and the hips thing looked really cool, and he's just so entertaining to begin with. And one element before really diving into the match, and I'm gonna let you lead with that, of course, but one element of the match that I liked was the banter, and you could hear that.
Yeah, I know Kofi Kingston was kind of saying that, hey, your quad, you've been doing squats, your quads look great, man. To Randy Orton, he's just being an idiot.
And yeah, of course. And then Orton goes up to AJ, and then brushes him off, because AJ's like, oh yeah, just it was just really cool. And then throughout the match, it's just little things like that make that dynamic. And this match was really well put together. I think the way that, again, with the element of surprise, the order that the guys went out and who was last, was really, really cool. And again, I like the finish too. It was a strong finish in my opinion. It added a different dynamic again to the Elimination Chamber. And again, it was something that, you know, AJ looked really strong. Like AJ almost had me fooled. Like
that one spot was weird with AJ. Like almost
the first
pulls him out the pod. Like
with almost.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird because it was like, all right, what advantage are you gaining from this guy just ripping you out of the pod? You know, like you're entering the match sooner. Like for what? You just wait until everyone kills each other, and then you can go. Like, why would you try to go in sooner?
See, I think what his attempt was to do, because almost ripped the thing out and his timer didn't go off, so he wasn't obviously scheduled to enter the ring or the match at that point in time. But all the men were down; they were out.
Mm-hmm.
So he saw an opportunity. If I can get in the ring right now, I could probably pin at least two of them.
Oh, okay.
That was my take on it.
Okay, got you. Yeah, because that didn't make any sense to me. I would just wait in the pod until like more people get eliminated, then I want to go out. Like I wouldn't want to go in sooner.
So I think you saw opportunity, or thought he saw something like an opportunity to eliminate people a little bit quicker by doing what he did. And then the whole interaction with Randy Orton possibly slowed him down. So that's why everyone kicked out. So that's the way I kind of made it.
Yeah, that would have made more sense if he would have got ripped out of the pod, went in, and then tried to start pinning everybody. You know, that would have kind of made more sense. But it was just like, dude, just stay in your pod until, you know, everyone's just chill. Like
no, for sure. It was really good. What did you think of the finish?
Which finish? Which finish of this match?
The chamber match.
First one, awesome. Like Drew McIntyre is a giant person. He's like 6'5", like 260. And for him to time that Claymore kick is like, yo, you guys are top notch like performers. Like that was a really great finish to the match, I thought.
And it hit him right in the nose. Like you could see it, like it legit just bopped him right in the
and
face.
Then the way like Styles just folds down, it just that was an awesome finish.
That was very good too.
Speaking, go ahead.
Sorry, AJ almost had me fooled. Like I said, like the way that he eliminated Hardy, I believe, and then he went for the flying forearm.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, he's gonna if he hits it, it's over. And then all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah.
Claymore. It's like, maybe not. And I thought it was a really strong finish. Like,
ultimately, Drew looked good. Drew looked like a strong champion because that's what we spoke about in the last show. How is Drew going to escape this looking strong? And I think WWE definitely they did a good job of making him look strong in the match. And then in Drew's, I guess, celebration, if you want to call it that, what was actually confusing to me, Bobby Lashley out of nowhere just goes and starts attacking Drew McIntyre, beats him down, and beats him to a pulp. Drew's already been through Elimination Chamber. As Bobby Lashley is leaving, you hear the Miz's theme come on. Awesome. Drew, the Miz runs down with the referee and the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he cashes in. We'll get into that in a second. But off the bat, what was strange to me, it kind of for one, what was the vested interest in Bobby Lashley attacking Drew McIntyre? And two, why would Bobby Lashley want to help the Miz cash in? That was kind of confusing to me. What's going on there?
Confusing. And this is, I like I said before, I forgot about Fastlane. But I don't know why they would keep on doing this to Drew McIntyre if they plan on putting the belt back on him before WrestleMania. Why would you keep on doing, like they did this before with Randy Orton, where they took it off him quick and put it back on? It's like, is it to give Miz an accomplishment, his final run, out of respect to what he's, come along from, from going MTV to, where he is now and running his own shows again and stuff like that, everything that he's done? Is it something more with Lashley? Like we kind of did say that Lashley might lose. I know you wanted Lashley to win, but you were open to the idea of him losing so that he could get moved up to the card, right?
Yeah.
So that was
okay. And if he was gonna go and attack Drew McIntyre, and that's how the show ends, maybe Lashley raises the title. Okay, you're gonna go into a program with Lashley with Drew McIntyre. I'm okay with that, but if Miz is gonna just come and is gonna cash in, Bobby Lashley just watches him go into the ring and cash in. It's like, why'd you just help the Miz? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It didn't make any sense to me. Was it smart by the Miz to do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I thought they were leading into a program with Lashley and Drew.
I totally forgot he had the money. I totally forgot he could cash in. Like, I just thought it was like, oh, okay, this is the new program. Bobby Lashley just lost the United States title. Okay, he wants the WWE title. That makes sense. But for him to just help the Miz, like, hey, here you go. So now my Bobby Lashley should sort of just hit the Miz then. Like,
see, maybe Lashley didn't know he was helping the Miz. That's the only way I could look at it as well, is that he went out there with the intention to set up the next program.
Right.
But the Miz intervened and capitalized on an opportunity, realizing that, hey, this man's down and out, but Lashley, he's not expecting me to cash in. He did the damage. He just went through a grueling chamber match. Cash in time. So maybe he inadvertently, without knowing, helped the Miz.
And then here's the other thing. I guess this makes us watch for tomorrow. So I think maybe last year they stopped the automatic rematch clause. So now it just basically, like, Drew McIntyre is not going to fight the Miz now. Now it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for nothing, and then the Miz will move on to some other program. I'll get possibly a number 1 contenders match, but yeah, if you want to do that, what is it going to be, a one-off match and then that's that? Like, I don't know. And do we have the Miz versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania for the belt? Like, what happens here? Where do we go from here? Like, yeah, no one wants to see that. I thought he was going to fight Bad Bunny. He goes from a feud with Bad Bunny to being the WWE champion.
I laugh because in 2021 we're talking about Bad Bunny competing with potentially the Miz.
The year was 2021. Donald Trump just ended his presidential run. The Miz is the champion, feuding with Bad Bunny. We're living in the future.
But yeah, I think they somehow get the title back to McIntyre before WrestleMania. You can still do your Lashley program for WrestleMania.
So you see like a McIntyre Lashley for the title at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So then why do the cash in? That's my question. What's the point of the cash in?
To give. I don't know.
Is he coming out with another episode of Miz and Mrs., or is there another season coming out? Like, what is?
That's what I'm thinking.
What's the point of the cash in? I don't understand that. But yeah, I'm
maybe they're. You know how they used to build up championship reigns really quickly for guys. So now Triple H is like a 28-time world heavyweight champion, and like John Cena's a 17-time whatever it is, you know, and Edge is a 16, whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
Like.
So they're just trying to get his title reigns up.
Get his title reigns up, maybe, because Drew's going to win it back. He has to. Yeah,
that'll be his third reign. But
and he ended out with this loss because Lashley came in, assisted the Miz, didn't even get a chance to defend his title again, rightfully in the Money in the Bank cash-in situation. So there's his out. He still looks strong in the chamber. He won the chamber. He can win the title back. Look even stronger now that he's got it for the third time. And then you can leave it on him now, and he's already got 3 reigns. You can leave it on him for a full year, maybe.
Right.
If you invest in him that long. And then, have a drop and then do what they did with Cena, Triple H, Orton, another prime example. And just, every once in a while, give him his reign. Give him his reign. Give him his reign. So we'll see. I don't know. It should be interesting. What do you think?
I'm honestly confused because we're really close to WrestleMania. Let me just look up real quick. What date is Fastlane? How soon is Fastlane pay-per-view?
It should be a week or two.
Right? It's gonna be it's gotta be it's March 21st.
Okay.
And
third week
WrestleMania this year is April 10th. Okay, so they do have a lot of time. I thought it was gonna be like April 1st or something like that. Okay, so they have some time. Yeah,
normally it's like the first, second, or third.
Right. So man, okay. Well, I know Bobby Lashley would be a good opponent for Drew McIntyre. It's just like, what the heck? Or you know what? What would be the most WWE thing ever to do? They might even worse. the most WWE thing ever to do is they might just have Bad Bunny beat the Miz and unify the 24/7 title with the WWE Championship, just to get those views, just to get the publicity, just to have a freaking celebrity going into WrestleMania season. Who knows? Because why is the Miz champion right now? Why is the Miz champion right now?
That would be like our cat.
Yeah, they might, because they're loving the Bad Bunny stuff right now. And I just noticed he was on Saturday Night Live with the 24/7 title performing. So
yes, he was.
So maybe Vince is like, give him the big one, give him the big title.
I don't think they can get that. Would so devalue everything. But do they care?
But the publicity, the views would be.
Everyone's got a price.
Everyone's got a price, right? So that just might happen.
I hope not. I hope you're wrong on that one, or I hope that doesn't even come across anybody's mind. But someone in the boardroom is going to go, "Hey, what if we put on the belt on Bad Bunny?" And everyone else is going to go, like, "Oh, why'd you say that?" And Vince is like, "Ha, pal, why don't we do that?"
This is such good shit. But or maybe it's maybe they do something like, just to get the views up on Raw tomorrow. And tonight we're gonna have a rematch, Miz versus Drew McIntyre, and then Drew McIntyre just Claymore kicks and wins, and then you don't need the Money in the Bank on Miz anymore, and that would be that.
You take that off. That's the purpose of the whole thing. It's not really what it's doing for the Miz in terms of being a champion. It's more so what they're doing for the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
Because when is that pay-per-view? Post WrestleMania? January, February, May or June?
It's usually like June, I believe.
Okay, June, yeah.
Oh, they won't even. Yeah, they don't even show it. It's not even booked yet for next year. But yeah, I mean, I'll give them a pass for completely like botching the Money in the Bank briefcase this year, because when they were having the pay-per-view, we were just right in the heat of the pandemic. We had that terrible Money in the Bank this summer with it was like
Otis won.
Otis won, and it was in Titan Towers, and they had to start off in the basement and go to the roof and get it. So yeah, I'll give him a pass, because that was a hard way to book once we were in the pandemic at that time. But yeah, I don't like the Miz being champion right now. I like Drew McIntyre. He had a great showing in the chamber. They could have just left it on him, and maybe down the road they do something else with the briefcase. But I don't know about that finish.
I don't mind it as much as I should, probably, for some reason. Maybe because a lot of people give the Miz a lot of shit.
Yeah. I liked his first run, to be honest. I was happy when he won.
Some for no reason.
Yeah.
For sure. It was really cool. It was really epic. It was really different. It was almost like our Daniel Bryan moment, right?
Yeah.
He did win, because it was like, oh my gosh, the Miz is now world champion. What do we do?
Cena.
Yeah.
Beat Cena in the main event of Mania.
No one beat Cena back then, right? That was huge. So to see it back on him, and maybe even a quick turnaround, it's a little nod to the Miz, going, hey, thank you, because I honestly think he's probably almost done soon.
He works hard. Yeah, he's got 2 kids now. He's 40-something. He works hard. He's got other things going.
His entrepreneurial
movies.
Stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. He can do a lot more. He's done his time in the sport or the entertainment business in terms of wrestling. He's accomplished everything that he needs to accomplish, and more. So give him this. Maybe that's what they're thinking, but I'm not disappointed with it. Maybe as much as I maybe should be, as a fan's perspective. I think
I'm more or less just disappointed for Drew. I'm disappointed for Drew,
exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. It was disappointing to see Drew go through all of that, bust his ass off, and then all of a sudden Lashley comes out, maybe thinking in his mind, okay, I'm gonna set up the next feud for WrestleMania or Fastlane, and by going out there destroying him, not realizing that the Miz could cash in at any given second, and him obviously coming in, like I said before, intervening and being champion. I think that's a smart way to do Miz tactic.
So maybe that was missing. If Lashley would have raised the title, and it would have conveyed to the audience that he's thinking, I'm going to start a program with Drew McIntyre. He leaves, then the Miz comes out. So then that would kind of, because I don't know why. Because now it just appears that Lashley was helping the Miz to me.
Right. Oh no, I get you for sure. Definitely. And I'm sure a lot of other people thought, hey, why are these guys working together? And just the way that I looked at it was like, maybe he didn't mean to do that. Maybe that just happened, on the spot. And the Miz was like, I'm cashing in. Thank you, sir. I have another.
It just happened to be in Gorilla.
Exactly. It just happened to be.
Before we wrap up, any predictions for Monday Night Raw tomorrow? I'll start off. I guess so Randy Orton was eliminated pretty quickly, so I can expect some type of dynamic between him and possibly Alexa Bliss. And I still don't understand how they're going to bring back a person who was burned to death back in the fold.
Maybe the Fiend didn't show up. And question for you before we go on with Raw: what happened to Seth Rollins? Rollins?
Good question. Man, and that's another thing with they just have so many great guys. They don't have anything for. You can't push everybody at the same time. So it's like, he's in a feud with Cesaro now. It's there's nothing for these guys. But I mean, Elimination Chamber is one of those pay-per-views where it's like, all right, you only have so much time because you have to have 2 chamber matches. There was no women's chamber matches time.
No, that was another note that I had written down too.
No women's chamber. And I would love to see a women's chamber match, tag team for the tag team championships. Call some girls up from NXT, get some teams involved, and maybe do that. I think that's pretty good to use the titles.
What do you think of this idea with the Elimination Chamber next year? You utilize on the main brand like NXT. Like, I'm a huge fan of WCW's old pay-per-views. So if you remember Fall Brawl War Games, which is now utilized in NXT. NXT, they modified the rules, of course. But if you utilize the chamber in that same sense, so you have 3 versus 3.
A 3 versus 3 chamber? And how many? There's 4 pods and then 2 people start.
Yep.
So it would be like an NXT pod, a Raw pod, a SmackDown pod, and then a Legends pod.
Just Raw and SmackDown. Keep it to the main roster.
Oh, Raw and SmackDown.
So you have 3 from Raw, 3 from SmackDown. Winner gets a title shot of the respective brand. Yeah. But they can't pin each other.
They can't pin each other. Oh man, I wouldn't want to book that. I wouldn't want to think about how to get through that. Because WWE will screw it up. They'll just have here comes Hornswoggle for some reason, and Hornswoggle wins somehow.
It's complicated booking, probably.
It'll be complicated.
But I've always wanted to see a 6-man tag team. Even don't say it's for number 1 contendership. Then just have a 3 versus 3. Throw it back at Survivor Series, like we were talking about before. I'd love
Survivor
to see
Series can work.
Survivor Series and mean something.
Yeah.
Now, if you could build a couple more mini chambers or mini pods within, the pods don't really have to be that big per se. And then you could have maybe more of a 4-on-4, and then the release system. Right. Kind of cool, a little different.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I definitely think it would spice it up. I just really can't think how. And then the way WWE books, I just can't figure out how they would make it good. I just don't see them getting out of that. They're not smart enough to do that.
No.
But what do you think about an NXT, SmackDown, Raw, and a Legends pod? I think that would be interesting.
It would have to. I think or you do NXT UK, get them on the board.
Or NXT UK, and then also I doubt any Legends would want to get into that type of match.
I was gonna say, 61-year-old Sting was taking a powerbomb on the mat, and he probably laid there for a long time. I couldn't imagine anyone near that age taking a bump on the steel and not being able to continue. You know what I mean? They might take one bump and pin me.
Throw Ric Flair and Iron Sheik in a pod. The Legends pod. Yeah, you'd have to bring up back who's in shape? Booker T and Tatanka or something, or Carlito and
Carlito could work.
Mark Henry's probably in shape, but a lot of those guys are not going to be in shape.
No.
And they can't stink up they can't stink up the place. They can't stink up the cage. It's a different type of match. It has to be kind of violent, or it has to be kind of brutal. or it just doesn't
Exactly.
work. You can't like out there power puff it.
No, not at all. But I do like the idea of the 4 different brands.
Yeah.
You have 2 guys in each pod.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome for
That'd be
sure.
cool. You release
Mhm.
both of them at once.
Right.
And you'd have 2, 2, 2, and 2, and then 2 and 2. So you'd have 4 guys in the ring starting 2 against 2, and then you'd have 2 in each pod.
I'll McMahon in every pod.
Yeah, in every corner, WrestleMania.
Right. Hornswoggle, Mr. Kennedy, they count.
Yeah, the illegitimate son.
So,
But what do you think about Raw?
predictions for Raw.
I know you kind of mentioned,
What's
but
that again?
I think you kind of mentioned a few spots there.
Yeah. I expect to see some type of Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton type
Right.
of. They just need to fight it out. They need to feud. Let's go in that direction anyway. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, we'll see more of that stuff. We probably won't get Keith Lee this week, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if it's like, hey, we're doing a rematch, The Miz versus McIntyre tonight, and you just have Drew get his belt back, and you keep it moving. Get the Money in the Bank out the way, and just keep it going toward WrestleMania, because I don't see The Miz doing anything with the title at WrestleMania this year, nor should he. No disrespect to Miz at all, but he just should be in that position.
Nope, not at all. It's not fair to him either. I think people would boo him out of the building and be so resentful that he's in that position. It's not fair to him. And again, like you said, nothing against him. I like him.
I like him too. Yeah,
Great performer. Puts on really good matches, especially with his feuds with Bryan. Daniel Bryan's
good on the mic.
Very entertaining. Exactly. He's got all the features that you need to be a star. He's had his reign. But when it comes to Raw, what I'd like to see again, like you said, the whole Randy Orton explanation on why he went out so early. And I want to see him come back and redeem that, even though he doesn't really need to. Like we were saying before, his status is already so marquee that it's okay for him to do that. But
he'll be a 2-time Hall of Famer, probably.
Probably a 2-time, if not more.
Yeah.
But he is still the Viper, right? He can't just accept losing like that. So he has to come back and redeem himself some way, shape, or form. Maybe he runs into Bliss accidentally. They just inadvertently bump into each other, and maybe his aggression, maybe starts to go in that direction. And that's what they bring back the Fiend, maybe as a surprise, which would be really cool.
I hate it. But I love Bray Wyatt. I just don't like that storyline.
Yeah. Well, maybe maybe that's what they do. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that's what they do. And you got to think like WWE booking, right?
Right. Shenanigans.
It can't be what you want.
Right. Like you have to take your idea and then you have to rip it up, and then you have to take your idea again and just present it 20 minutes before showtime.
Exactly.
like true WWE booking.
Exactly. That's how you come with the formula.
That's right.
That's how we got through the night.
That is the formula. That's how you sell the network for $1 billion to Peacock. Take your show, rip it up, and then try again 20 minutes before you say record.
Exactly. I go to the whole team full of writers. Just let me write.
Right.
I'm just writing my own show now.
On a napkin. Here we go.
Take us to Bruce. No, but in all serious, if I could be serious here for a minute, overall, I really enjoyed the card. I think it was a better WWE pay-per-view than I've seen in the most recent past, like most recently, previous events, minus NXT stuff, because I really enjoyed that. But main roster stuff, more or less, it's probably one of the better pay-per-views that I've seen in probably the last 6 months.
How would you grade it if you had to give it a grade?
We giving it a letter grade, or are we giving it a number grade?
A letter grade.
Letter grade? I'd have to say B+, A-. And the only reason was because, well, 2 reasons. The tag team match, for sure. The women's tag team match had a few flaws in it. And then again, the ending itself with the cash-in. Even though I kind of understood maybe why he did what he did, or why Lashley did what he did, I still...
Leaves a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it's not questions, it's just like, okay, we know what's going to happen now. So predictability, I think, is more the word I was looking for, in the sense that, okay, there's no way that Miz can go into WrestleMania now. Where if Miz kept that briefcase until WrestleMania and then did this,
I could be down with that. I could be down with that. Yeah, I could be down with that.
It might appeal a little bit more, right? Because
Yeah.
now we're like, okay, when's he actually going to cash it in? It's coming up real soon. You have to do it before the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And, that's in June. We're at March.
Yeah, I can get, and yeah, I can get it down like that. He has to get, like, he's kind of like nervous because he's on a deadline, so he has to kind of pick his spots. Yeah, it kind of gives more life to the briefcase. I think I'm gonna give this pay-per-view a C. I'm gonna give it a solid C.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible, but it was just too many, like you said, the tag team match. I couldn't get down with it. It just didn't really make sense to me. And I think it left more questions than answers.
Reassurance.
So it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't. Especially when, like, Hell in a Cell pay-per-view was good, Night of Champions was good. Even like the Great American Bash, Backlash was a decent pay-per-view in the past couple months to me. So compared to that stuff, I just gotta give it a C, I think.
Okay. No, that's more than fair.
Yeah.
Definitely. I won't hold a grudge this time.
Anything else before we wrap up?
Well, again, as usual, just want to say it's awesome that we're doing this again. This is our second episode, our second time working together. Great so far. Looking forward to doing the next preview, which will be Monday Night Raw, I believe.
Yes.
And what time do we plan on releasing that episode?
For
the listeners out there that want to tune in.
The internet's 24/7. That's why you guys have to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell, so when we do have new episodes, you get it pops up right on your screen. So make sure you guys, if you like this video or our other videos, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, Wrestling Never Sleeps.
Definitely. And Jared, again, where can we reach you personally on social media?
You can reach me at Jared Never Sleeps on IG, Jared NVR Sleeps on Twitter, and of course, you follow our channel, Wrestling Never Sleeps, on Instagram and Twitter as well. How about you, Adam?
Perfect. The streets shoot in a suit. You can follow me at Real Adam Anthony, both on Twitter and IG. I don't really do much of the other stuff. I keep Facebook to a very minimum with family and very, very close friends, such as yourself. And then, other than that, if you want to email me, martinadams697@gmail.com. Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. That's our time for now, folks. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We will see you tomorrow for Monday Night Raw. For Adam, this is Jared. Thanks for watching. And it's still real to me, damn it. Good night.